principle is that the program takes the point of view that a city is either resilient or it's not. It's almost an absolute point of view, understanding that there is no such thing as perfection, but that this gives us a principle from which to look at the widest array of hazards, risks, threats that face cities, and sometimes create failures in city systems. The program here also is completely linked with the outcome of the recent Habitat 3 conference in Quito and the acceptance by member states of the United Nations of what's called the New Urban Agenda. And this New Urban Agenda has been promulgated to transform the way cities have developed in the past 100 years for the next 100 years. Certainly the threat of urbanization, about the pace of urbanization outpacing the capacity of local governments to keep up and maintain delivery of services and this type of thing. Obviously, the effects of a changing climate that are global in nature have different expressions in different parts of the world in different cities. I suppose it's fair to say that, we expect the population of the world to reach 10 billion by 2050. That's not that far away from here. At that time, we're expecting the urban population to be around 70%. Okay, call it the same population of the entire planet is today, and double the urban population that exists today. So it's about the concentration of people. When you have the concentration of people, you have the concentration of commerce and various different other urban functions. Obviously, there is a risk that accumulates with the densification of populations in the urban areas around the world. What happens when you have a city that may increase by 30% its population, as I just discovered in a mission I was in Jordan, where a small town, 70,000 people, has now 40,000 Syrian refugees living in the town. So clearly this has an impact on the functionality of the city, on the flows, on the resources, labor, economy, all the rest of these sorts of things. And this small town, is really struggling to maintain. So amongst this array of different hazard threats, shocks, stresses, rapid in-migration is one. And we've seen this happen in Europe, of course, in the past few years. But it's also happening at a far, far greater scale in the Middle East. The populations there are more refugees living in Beirut than there are Lebanese at this moment. It's these kinds of things where the impact on city systems is huge. And there are ways to address that. We, in fact, work quite closely with the city of Barcelona in the beginning stages of their development of the Ciutat Refugee program, which is a very well thought through, structured program that prepared the city to receive refugees. And the principles of that apply to a small town in Jordan equally as they do to a city like Barcelona. The first principle is looking at the in-migration flows as flows of assets as opposed to flows of liabilities. So taking the point of view that the people who come to cities, whether they come in small numbers or large, bring with them something. In many cases, they bring with them skill or capacity, these kinds of things. So that's the first principle. The second principle is on dispersal of the population. Try to avoid ethnic ghettoization, concentrations of one group of people in one specific area in a city. This quite often generates alienation. It's not a culture of absorption, it's a culture of containing these kinds of populations in certain areas of the city. So we recommend, like the city of Barcelona did, to do an inventory of resources, including housing and services and these kinds of things, to talk to the communities where those resources are, to create platforms for engaging new residents of those neighborhoods, to demystify the process of a foreign kind of culture coming into your own, these kinds of things.